Hey everyone, welcome to Firehouse Fishing Company. My name's David Varney, professional firefighter and your host. And in every one of our episodes, we'll be visiting firefighters from across the country to talk about our shared passion for firefighting and fishing. We're gonna drop right in, check out their firehouse, and then we're gonna head right out to their favorite fishing hole. If you like our show today, hit the subscribe button down below. But for right now, kick back and enjoy an episode of FFC. We're out here with the City of Miami Fire Rescue, and I'm with Alex Noguera. Alex, tell us a little bit about the City of Miami.
Well, the city itself is a beautiful city. It has its, we see it from the inside. Yeah. So we see it fully exposed. We see the beautiful parts of it, and we see the, the not so beautiful parts. But that's what makes it what it is. Working here is an honor to work here. This is a well-rounded city. Not just the fire department, but there's so many cultures here. Other cities get caught up in the whole racial, this guy against that guy, and it's not like that here because it's so many different cultures that we don't have time for that, So sure. That goes the same in the fire department. Everybody's a big brother to each other, whether you're a man or a woman. It's brother or sister. Working here is an honor to work here. The tradition is carried out every day here. You can see it through the, just walking into the dining room. The way we handle the trucks, the way we take care of our trucks. As far as a firefighter basis, I've only wanted to work here. I've never wanted to work anywhere else. It's such a diversified department that you learn so many different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I do understand that it's good to be, a master of a trade, but here we're jack of all trades. But we're almost a master of all those trades, if it makes any sense, because we do them so often, and we train on them, and we're ready for anything. There's nothing that we can't handle. Any firefighter could be anywhere at any given time, and that guy will do the job just as good as
Absolutely.
Whether a new guy out of the academy or a 25-year guy.
When I pulled in this morning, I noticed all the rigs were out, and you guys were cleaning them, and you were detailing them.
Every morning.
Tell us a little bit about the station and what rigs that you have.
So you get here early, all the trucks get pulled out right as 6:30 as the bells go off, and the reason that happens is at 6:30 is your wake-up call, because that's when we had horses and carriage. At 6:30 was the time that they fed the horses, so we keep that tradition. So at 6:30 we pull the trucks out, and that's kind of like feeding our horses. We wash them, we get them all down, ready for the day, and then shift starts at 7:30. So then you see guys moving out. If a call comes between 6:30 and 7:30, it's kind of customary for the next shift to take it. Depending on how it is. I kind of like to get here early just so I can come into the day, have my coffee, talk with the guys. The last thing you talk about is fire here. There's so much to talk about.
Sure, absolutely.
Fishing is definitely one of the ones to talk about.
Good, we're going to hit that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit why you want to become a firefighter.
Well, my father was a firefighter. My biological father was a firefighter. I'm a very good relationship with him. I would come into this very station as a little kid. I don't know how old I was, but I was very young. And I would see the guys and how they were, and just the smell. I'll never forget that smell, and I still smell that today. When you open the doors of the trucks, and it's like, wow, it's just a different feeling here. I would, as you do ride-alongs growing up through EMT and paramedics, you go to different stations, and you're like, man, there's nothing like the city. Like for me, at least, it's in my blood, it's in my heart.
Good for you.
So my dad did have my father, both my fathers. I have a stepfather, what we talked about earlier. He was a big, he always supported me, and one father never went against the other father. And I told them both, what I wanted to do, and like, that's what you need to be doing, and that's where your heart is at. I wasn't very good at school. just needed to find something that I was passionate about, and I think that passion is more than anything. It'll take you further than anything, any amount of money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've sure seen that here today with you at the Firehouse.
I hope so.
Yeah. A little bit about fishing. You talked a little bit about fishing. Tell me.
There's another one.
We're getting another call.
Responding to the booth. Yeah, we'll see. Isn't he responding?
No sabe resolverse.
Maintenance went up, it says the multiple alarms, but they didn't say anything. We don't know whether the handle is on this too.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how fishing came into your life and how you use it maybe as a stress relief.
So fire was introduced to me by my father, my biological father, but fishing was introduced to me by my stepfather, and you know, he just introduced me to it, and then I ran with it. But we fished a lot together throughout the years, and it's been, I didn't realize how much I needed to fish until I kind of got hired. And then when I got hired, I would fish on the side, and then when I wouldn't fish, you could tell the difference.
Right.
You know, you could definitely tell the difference, and I didn't notice that because it had to be someone else to tell me.
Yeah.
And that was where my girlfriend now, Brandy, she's the one that says, hey, you're two different people when you don't fish.
Yeah.
You know, when you come off a bad night, I can tell, but I can also tell when you go fishing and you come home, you know, you're a different person. And I was like, you know what? After losing my father, my stepfather, and he was the one that introduced me to fishing, the best way I can connect to him was going fishing. And that's what I've stuck with. And going back to Brandy, she was like, you know, you're trying to take on too much, you just need to go back to fishing. And that's when I decided to go full out with the company and say, hey, fishing is my passion, and it's not about the money. It's, you know, the company helps because it's cool to promote a company, but the main thing is just to be out there and just kind of like all I could focus on while I'm fishing is fishing, because there's so much going on. That in itself is a job. So, but it's just it's a huge stress reliever, and it's something that I'll preach to anybody. I've taken the guys out here. You know, I take them fishing. I was like, hey, stop what you're doing. Thursday, Friday, whatever, after coming off shift, we're going fishing. And we have. And
that's awesome.
They're bugging me all the time. Hey, when are we going out again? Because, and then when we get back to the dock, they don't even realize, they don't even know how many fish we caught. And it doesn't matter, you know, they were just out there.
It was like a reset on
it was a
beautiful
reset,
water out here.
100% reset, you know, and that's what's kept me going, driving, is being able to have that disconnection from the real world. And
it doesn't even matter. Fishing is an amazing sport, and it's that release for you. And I imagine when you're here at the Firehouse, you can talk to some of the guys and make sure they do have some type of way of releasing their stress, no matter what they do.
Absolutely, I encourage that. I've been trying to hook up with someone like you for a long time to kind of get that out there. I just really didn't know how. If you can't get out fishing, which not everybody has access to a boat or the water, and that's fine. Try hunting, try shooting, you know, definitely go to the gym. We should be going to the gym anyway, an hour a day. I think whether you're a firefighter or not, you know, you should be worried about your health. That helps, especially us with the stress level. You know, cancer is our #1 you know, killer, and that's induced by stress, lack of sleep, all that stuff. So if you can find any type of hobby, cooking, you know, I've heard of guys here, I'm not gonna say their names, they get into art. They start drawing, and they're a terrible drawer. They look like a little kindergartner, but they figure it out, and it's not about that. It's just something to keep your mind occupied, because your mind needs to exercise too. Just like your body, your mind. For me, my mind is fishing, you know, and if I can encourage you need some type of escape. Well, welcome to Station 1. This is our It's the chief's office, where it houses the chief here. He's got his own thing, and this is what we call the watch cage. This back in the day, we used to get the calls. The dispatch used to call us, and then you would have to wake up, answer the phone, and then dispatch whoever's running was, and then you would open the door for them and whatnot. And then we would write it down in the book. We have a log of that stuff. So
Wow.
whoever was in charge of the watch had to sleep here. So it was kind of like almost like if there was a punishment, you were the watch. So it's just all old, you know. This is all here. This is this station.
Right here?
Yeah, hasn't changed at all. Same structure, same concrete.
Wow.
It's just This is all our cleaning supplies. Cleaning supplies.
How you doing, bud?
Hard work.
Putting me to work.
Always working. Always showing those guys what's up. This is the captain's office. He is where he does his lineup in the morning, his paperwork and stuff. Writes down whatever trainings we have. He's in charge of that. Administrative stuff. Coming to the dining room, dining hall, kitchen, pool table there. Private sit here, officers sit over there.
Okay.
The guys always hanging out in the kitchen, always hanging out in the kitchen. That's a big kitchen. We have pretty much not a designated cook, but we have one guy that cooks all day. Everybody pays him $20. We feel like the kitchen and eating together is how we stay together. You know, not a lot of departments get to do that anymore, so they'll keep the tradition alive. Pretty much every station does that here in the city. We all put down, we have a designated cook. That guy doesn't even go on calls, he just cooks all day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, this is our TV room. There's like a whole little TV going on here.
All right.
This is everything you see here, how it's decorated, the guys do it.
All right.
You know, if they want it some way, they do it. Nice little lights. And you got our trucks.
Yep.
If you want to explain the trucks, you know, our rescue sit over there, our foam, big aerial here. This is like the truck of the city, you know, it's number one aerial. That is a hazmat truck. We got the air truck, and then we got the chief over there. If you want to get
Reception structure, nothing showing code to investigate.
Alex, I got another question for you. Here at the Firehouse in your years of service, what has kept you up at night that you think about a lot?
It's not one particular call.
Yeah.
You know, we get a lot of calls, and we get a lot of those type of calls. Everybody knows what that means. It's the being in bed, you know, and being that front truck out at night. Anticipation of the call.
Sure.
That's what really, you know, that's actually more stressful than the actual call itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, because it could be a regular run-at-the-mill call, or it could be that, you know, that banger.
Yeah.
And you're in bed, and you're, you know, and if you do happen to fall asleep, and you wake up to a tone, you know, you almost got, you know, you got a shot of adrenaline going through you, and then you have to perform.
Sure.
You know, at the highest level, because at the end of the day, they're calling you in the worst moment of their life, and for you, it's a normal thing, but or it's become a normal thing, but it's that level of you know, low intensity to high intensity, that can kill you. I mean,
It destroys souls.
I went one time in the race and said, you know what, I'd rather be in the seat. No, it's funny, the new class, it's a new class out right now. That they put a badass video. You guys seen it? The sun. Yeah. What's the name of the class?
All pinta. It's all
Firefighter. No shit.
so are we.
So they put out like saying, I go, man, what's the name? They have a name.
They're
I forgot the name of the class.
The city night truckers.
I don't know. They got some badass. You gotta see the video.
City draftees.
The City Knights, no? City Knights.
Bro, wait till those guys get 3 runs in the rescue.
So how long has this station been here? When was it built?
I think it was in the 50s, 51.
Was it? So if these kitchens could talk, if these tables could just, all the conversations that have gone on here, pretty crazy, right?
I don't think this wasn't originally a station. It was
No, they built this from
built it as a station.
Did they?
from scratch.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Robert.
Robert, not David. And your first name?
Kevin.
Kevin, very nice to meet you guys. And I appreciate chatting with you. How many years do you have on?
22 years.
22?
Yeah, 22. We came on
22.
together.
Came on together. Wow. So you've seen a lot of changes.
Yeah, we have.
What do you think some of the big changes are?
It's changed so much in the past 20 years that it's almost like a different city. It seems like.
Wow.
To the point where, like, Robert and I we've both been at this station for 21 years basically, and a lot of people like, how can you stay at the same station forever? It's the same boring things over and over.
Yeah.
But in this area, the city has evolved, especially downtown, so much that about every 5 years I feel like I'm in a different territory.
Wow.
Different types of calls, different types of people we're going to. Everything seems a little different.
Yeah.
So it's added a little life to the station.
I see. And you guys talk about, obviously you will run a lot of calls in the station. And what does it look like when you leave after a 24-hour shift on? What does that look like in your family lives? And what do you see with maybe some of the other firefighters that maybe they're not getting that release or doing some on their days off? Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I think having something to keep you busy, hobbies, whatever it is, maybe an off-duty gig, maybe your own off-duty business, that plays a lot in having, in dealing with the job and kind of almost forgetting about the job. I try to, when I get off shift, I leave whatever I had here. Whatever my shift was, whatever it was, I leave it here and I go do fishing, hunting, whatever it is, that might distract you. Like, I don't know if you agree with me.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think like you hit it on the head earlier. Like a lot of guys have like the side job as well, and you have to distract yourself once you leave this building.
Yeah.
I think that too many people define who they are by this job. This is what we do. It's not. It's also who we are in a certain extent, but this is what we do. And when you leave here, you got to leave that behind.
Sure.
So you've got your hobbies. You've got to do things to distract yourself that you're going to enjoy. Do things that will help relieve your stress.
My name is Karen Salinas, and I'm a lieutenant with the city of Miami. I've been with the city 16 years.
16 years, wow. And in your time, you probably have seen a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Good and bad.
Good and bad. And some of the experiences.
Good things that I've experienced here is that you get to be a role model for a lot of the children. Another good experiences that we have, at least responding on calls, would be like delivering a baby.
Absolutely.
Sometimes, when the babies are coming, sometimes they just can't wait. They want to get out, and so we're there to help our community. Some of the harder calls that I've been on is when we see domestic violence and with the women and children, a traffic accident. Sometimes when you see the velocity is a factor. Sometimes people are not, being responsible. And,
exactly.
Because
what do you think is after many years that you're on, we build up this Rolodex of all the calls we went on. So what do you do to help release that stress from work?
Well, part of my life pretty much I've done, since even before I got here, I've done sports. And it's always been my go-to to clear my mind, and it still is to today.
Sure.
It's part of my life to be able to, when I have a hard day, a fire, or something, that my first thing is just try to get and to relieve my endorphins in the gym. And I try to play sports like spinning or climbing, hiking. I like to travel too. That's one of the things that helped me, I guess, to maintain a balance with my profession, is to find a hobby, friends, and,
that's so important.
And do things that I like.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A couple of things you and I were talking about en route to a call a little bit ago. If you feel comfortable, there was a firefighter that maybe you had known or worked with. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, unfortunately, I had one classmate that got hired with me 16 years ago. he was, I mean, you would have never imagined he would have done something like that. He was good looking, great personality. I mean, he had it all going for him. The ladies were after him. He actually did he was in a firefighter calendar.
Oh, okay.
And he was just a guy, such a great, charming.
Yeah.
I would have never imagined. And that, when I heard the news, it really shocked me. And still to this day, I try to wonder, like, maybe if I could have asked or, you know, but I would have never imagined that someone as happy as he looked could have done something like that. Since then I started realizing that it is something that you know, we need to be more aware of.
Absolutely.
What are the signs? Educate ourselves as to what to look for to prevent from that happening.
Life is in a stream. The ocean called for you and me. Still call for you and me. Still I'm in this game, but without my closest friend.
So this is like the heart of Miami. This is downtown Miami. This is the Miami River. We come out and we go out with this government cup, Miami Beach. We'll be fishing in front of the beach. You'll be able to see all the buildings from where we're fishing. We're not going real far. Better set up for a better hook set.
Got it.
One rod off of this clip right here, and it'll have one bait, and it'll allow the bait to get out away from the boat, and we'll be able to fish different water columns. And this one we have set up, we can put up to three baits on it.
And right now, what are you trying to do right there when you keep pulling them back in, keep them in line?
Just keep the lines right in line so that the bait stays at the top of the water. And I believe that's what will give him the indication when he sees it like moving, you know, the little bobber moving, and he'll look out there and he'll see the fish. He sees a lot more from up there than down here.
There's a frigate in this play right here. Look at the frigates, guys. Dave, you see those birds up there?
Oh, the frigate?
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
That's a great sign. Like one of the coolest things about all of this is you're never, you just never stop learning. And I tell all the guys at the firehouse, if the day you stop learning is not, you know, that's the day you die, because you're not. If you think you know everything, and if you have a guy that's, oh, I know it all, like, that ain't the guy. There's always gonna be a guy that's better than you, and there's always gonna be a guy better than him. So if you
It's
learn,
the way it works.
yeah, it's just that's life, and
Part
that's
of
life
life,
with
yeah.
everything. You know, the reason I even got back into this stuff is because of, you know, I don't know if I had told you or not. I was in a dark spot, a very dark spot. I probably, when we go back to the experience, I've probably done something that nobody has probably done, or I hope to God no one ever has to do. I worked in cardiac arrest with my own father. You know, that is something that I prayed that I never had to do, and I you know, because I live, my house is in my territory, you know, and we're actually out of fire in a bakery, and then I go back and my phone was just covered up, you know. Going back to the network, going back to making a good name for yourself, there was a lot of guys that knew my house, my address, and a lot of guys that knew my stepdad through fishing, you know, through fishing, through hunting. I've taken a lot of the guys fishing with my stepdad, and when there was just so many people, I couldn't even get in, you know. You know, whatever, we go there and we start doing our thing. We're working, and when you walk in and you see a cardiac arrest, and you you know you got a chance or you know it's bad. And I was like, well, this is a bad one. You know, and you try to deal with it the way as best as you can, because you still got a job to do at the end of the day. You know, we had a job to do, and you know, I had some of the best medics there, and I know for damn sure those guys rock out every day. The city of Miami has some of the best paramedics in the world. I don't care what anybody says. And if I could have picked anybody to do that, I'm glad it was my own guys. So there just comes a point where it's in God's hands. You know, a good buddy of mine, Carlos, he works at my station. He says, hey man, I'm gonna go on vacation, you should come with me. I said, oh, I don't wanna go. He's like, yeah, you should need to come with me. I went with him. I met a girl on vacation, Brandy. She's the love of my life. I met her and she changed my whole life. She goes, you know, after some time, she's like, oh, you should probably start fishing again. I was like, you think so? I was like, yeah.
It's awesome.
Started fishing again. Started fishing on another team. Those guys are great. We started tournament fishing, and again, that's what kind of got me out of the hole of that dark rabbit spot. Because now, every call that I would go to, I would think about, like, of course, I didn't go to work. Then I come back to work. The first call we get is a cardiac arrest. We saved the guy, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you know. I'm like, why can't I, you know, how can we not have saved my dad and I just saved this guy, you know? It's like,
Sure.
You know, it's just like, that's when you know, like, I'm not very religious, but I do believe in God, and I believe in, you know, I'm very spiritual now, and I thank God every day that the lessons that I've learned, it's made me who I am. Like, my real dad has taught me everything about fire, and my stepdad has taught me everything about fishing.
Sure.
And then I've adapted my own, you know, along with both sides. So it's nice to be able to kind of bring both of them into this, you know. Let me tell you something. It was one of the most beautiful experiences of my life. You know, one of the most beautiful experiences. I just wish I didn't have to lose him, but going through that, it really made me who I am, and it made me appreciate so much more. Oh, dolphin! Nice dolphin! Nice dolphin. He's on the short. You got him on the short. Oh.
Yeah, it looked kind of weird first. Keep reeling, keep reeling.
Stop reeling. Just get ready for it to pop off.
That's a good one too. Don't do that, don't do that.
Oh, I can't see.
No, I know, it's damn long. There you go.
Right on, bro.
Nice one, man.
Right here, bro.
Got him here first, far side.
Right on.
I'ma need safety. Tell her op can't snake me. Ray gun off safety. My girl so tasty. Tell her it's your world. She want the two-tone spaceship. Blow smoke screen daily, so the stress don't faze me. I'm going. I keep it factual. I'm on sabbatical. I'm out in Central America. I need a break from hysteria. Park like the one with the carousel. I get it lit in your area. I'm locked to the vision. It couldn't be clear. You couldn't pay me to care enough. I dare you to hate me supreme with the sound through the stereo.
Alex is blessed to have had two fathers in his life, Carlos Noguera, who is a retired firefighter, and Mark Del Toro. Not only did they introduce Alex to his two greatest passions of firefighting and fishing, but they also taught him that life is about finding your happiness and living each day to the fullest. During my time spent with Alex, it is obvious he embodies these life lessons every day by giving back to the community and pursuing his dreams. I would like to thank the men and women from the City of Miami Fire and Rescue Station No. 1 for taking me in and allowing me the privilege of sharing your stories. I am hopeful my time spent with you will allow others to see the importance of having a way to release the stress and trauma of the job. With continued awareness and support systems in place, we can start to recognize when one of our own is in need and make a difference and inspire change.